The ancient Greeks deduced that in the southern hemisphere there must be enormous unexplored landmasses, a mysterious place full of gold with an ideal climate and docile natives. Spanish and Portuguese explorers searched in vain for this lost continent, which by this time everyone was calling Terra Australis Incognita. When the first white colonists arrived here, they found a completely different world from the one they'd imagined, covered in impenetrable jungle and inhabited by strange creatures. A land forgotten by time, a world which had been left behind, lost in the mists of evolution, retaining much of the original life of the long-since-vanished supercontinent, Gondwana. Nothing was familiar to them, but no one doubted that this was a land of natural splendors, an explosion of life from the depths of time. This is the story of a land caught in its own bubble, which was suddenly invaded by outsiders. It is the story of the last creatures of independent evolution, the only modern descendants of those who lost in the strange game of evolution. Two of these were to suffer different but similar fates. Both were to become living or extinct legends. We are going to an island where no one is safe. Tasmania is an island which lies to the south of the Australian continent, from which it became definitively separated around 13 million years ago. This isolation occurred after thousands of years of shared evolution, meaning that Tasmania has to this day conserved relics of the primeval universal forest, which once stretched right around the world some 250 million years ago. At that time, all dry land in the southern hemisphere formed an enormous compact mass, the supercontinent called Gondwana. The proof of this can be found along the coasts which, ripped apart from each other, still preserve common geological features. Gondwana included the present lands of Australia, the Antarctic, Africa, South America, and India. The breakup of the supercontinent brought great changes. Titanic forces created new seas, moving continents and cooling the climate. Australia, along with Tasmania, drifted to east of the Antarctic. The scars of the Great Wound healed and hardened to form fossils of the creatures that lived at that time, and which can today be found in all the pieces of this immense jigsaw puzzle. Despite the enormous distances now, the edges reveal that these coasts and those of South America are parts of the same mass. But not all evidence of the existence of Gondwana is so static. The so-called sea lions and elephant seals belong to the same family, but despite the name, they are not seals at all. Here in Tasmania, there are huge colonies along the rocky coast, right along the line of the split from Gondwana. The harems of females are protected by large, powerful males, always on the lookout for invaders. The sea lions and elephant seals, in contrast to true seals, have small visible ears at the sides of their huge heads, and they can move upright on land with relative ease, thanks to their limbs, which are much more functional than those of their cousins. On craggy land, an elephant seal can move faster than a man. When they are not busy sunbathing or fighting, the elephant seals swim, which they can do very well. They row with simultaneous movements of their hands as if flying, and hardly using the rear fins as a seal would. They dive down into the water, normally remaining submerged for around 5 minutes looking for squid, octopus, and fish. The interesting thing about these Australian seals is that we can also find them much further away, 5,000 kilometers from here across the Antarctic on the frozen coasts of Tierra del Fuego in South America. This is the other edge of the former Gondwana, and despite the distance, the scene is almost the same. These fur seals and sea lions are physically and socially identical to their brothers in Tasmania. But the similarities don't stop there. When the supercontinent had begun to break apart, Australia, South America, and the Antarctic remained connected for some time longer, also sharing the ancient leaf forests of Gondwana. The final refuge of these austral beech trees are precisely in Tierra del Fuego and in Tasmania. These forests of Nothofagus are the legacy of the dead heart of Gondwana, the surviving vegetation of a primeval landscape. Australia then became an isolated continent. Our terra incognita australis largely turned to desert, thus starting down the path of separate evolution, and below it, the small island of Tasmania, the Green Island. Tasmania is an island covered in dense rainforest where, among the abrupt rises and falls of the landscape, hide creatures which, in the majority of cases, exist nowhere else on the planet. A zoological paradise with numerous national parks, 3 of which are considered World Heritage Sites.